Yes. All right. Hello.
Hello, thank you for joining the show today. What inspired you to begin your journey as a holistic practitioner?
I was inspired by my own healing journey. As some of you know, I was able to reverse my stage 4 cancer, and that was around 9 years ago. And that is how it all started. That's when I realized that there was an alternative that I didn't know about. And once I started my healing journey, I felt that that's why I was called to do that, or that's why I had it, because I wanted to share. And yeah, that is what triggered all of this, and for me to go into the holistic route.
So, would you describe your healing philosophy as holistic, as in herbs and plant based, or would you describe it more spiritual? Tell us a little bit about what type of
I'm going to say it's a little bit
what
of
type of
everything.
practice.
I tell people balance, right? We learned to create balance of the mind, of the body, and then the spirit will be in balance. But first, the mind and the body. The body's, a lot of us are out of balance, and I do, by my philosophy is, let the food be thy medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to let it be. We need to really pay attention to what we put in our mouth and what we are using as our medicine.
Mm-hmm.
um Stop looking at it as food or this tasty item. You can make really tasty food, really good, healthy
Yes.
food, and nourish your body, at
Mm-hmm.
the same time. I tell people that there are things that we eat that will give, there is nothing that touches our insides. We cannot go in, we use creams for our outside and different stuff for our body and our skin, but there is nothing that we really do for our intestines and all our organs. So by giving them the best nutrients, that is a good way to thank them, and to just, it's like a lotion to them. That's how I see it. Because after that, they just feel so much better. If there is pain, or if there is any type of soreness or anything like that, little by little, it will go away. And it's all part of the food. As far as other stuff that I use, that I tell people, welcome to the botanical world. So,
Right.
yes, because
Yes.
it's
The world is full of abundance, and you can get it from nature. I mean, they fall under the same category as far as herbs and vegetables and stuff like that. But when you really break it down, every bit of it has something to share, to
yes,
offer you,
yes.
that's holistic and healing, that you can absorb in your body and fix it to make it perform at its healthiest state. And it's all connected. It works together. The mind works with the body works with the spirit, and the list goes on and on and on. So you're
Right.
getting the whole benefit of holistic healing instead of a box of, well, you fit into this category, so we're just going to treat the symptom. Yeah, so I completely get it. I
Mhm.
understand. Now, during your holistic practice, what would be the most misunderstood information that you've seen in your practice?
Mm, Well, people do not know that we have the power of self heal. And also at the same time, I think that they have high expectations. once
Mm-hmm.
they find or they see that there is something holistic, right? And I find it interesting how when we go to the with Western medicine, we don't we don't ask for anything in return. We don't ask for a guarantee as much. And now that there is a holistic practice, there is a lot of that. There is a lot of, do you guarantee me this will work? And that's when I just tell people, I cannot guarantee you that you're going to do the work, but holistic does work. Holistic, I've seen true miracles happen in front of my eyes from so many illnesses that I cannot even I it's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And also mind blowing to think what vegetables can do. It's all in the roots.
It's all in the roots.
Yeah,
Yes. The root cause is the root solution. Yeah.
it's the root. The answer has been in the tip of our nose all this time, but we've
Mm-hmm.
been busy looking somewhere else, but
Yeah.
not where we needed to. But yes, absolutely, finding the root cause, learning to listen to our body.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
is one of the things that I always advise people to learn to listen to your body. I think that's really important and something that nobody has taught us how to do.
Right.
And yeah, little by little, as you do the process of elimination, right? We eliminate a lot of foods or certain foods, and little by little you start incorporating stuff, and that way what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I call really loving yourself. Sorry, that's what I call really loving yourself. Um,
Right.
just
Right. Is there a transformation with one of your clients that you could share with us that has deeply moved you in your practice?
honestly, I have enjoyed all of them because, as you can imagine, as a cancer patient, I don't, I see a lot of people with high blood pressure and heart issues and
Mm-hmm.
PCOS, and I love that. I love the results. I love seeing, when they just go on and living their life, and all of a sudden they start having babies and stuff like that. But for cancer, I do have a special place, because
Mm-hmm.
the word itself can be, or it's very intimidating, you know, and it's just a big word,
Mm-hmm.
and just seeing and hearing how they become so vital, and just they didn't know that they could do that, and the potential that they had and what they had lost. So it's really all of them. Any
Mm-hmm.
cancer patient that comes to me, I love the transformation of their voice, from the first phone call or the first few phone calls, and then they're so happy. They are women, using makeup, and they tell me natural, mineral based. This is what I did.
Mm-hmm.
So there, it's the beauty. It's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They don't only feel vital again, but
Right.
it's within them. They just feel
Mm-hmm.
different, and I don't know. So I'm gonna say all of them, all of my cancer patients. But I don't mean to put away any other member, either, because from PCOS I've seen beautiful stuff. I mean, imagine people going 13 years without having a child, or thinking that they
Yeah.
can't have children, and then
Mm-hmm.
wow, surprise, turns out that you could or you can have children.
Yes.
We
Yes.
just needed to really clear everything, and
Yeah.
start all over. It's doable, and we deserve it more than anything. Our body deserves it.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. Seeing a client have a breakthrough, and it's like you see it in their eyes, you feel it in being, and it is so gratifying seeing them just bounce back.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can't really put a price tag on that.
No. No.
And when they evolve and the healing process really kicks in and they see a change and their family sees a change, and then um, that spreads. People ask, what are you doing that, I just see something different in you. You look happier, you're glowing, you're shining. What are you doing? They want to know. We function at a state of distress and don't
Yes.
even realize it. We're so used to functioning poorly
Hmm.
that when we start feeling better, it's like, wow, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yes.
I get that quite a bit.
And that is, I get that from a lot of the members. That is exactly what they tell me. I
Hmm.
now question, where have I been? I should have done this sooner. Those are their exact words, because that is important. Tag. I tell people, it's not a diet. Let's not. We're not gonna live on a
Yeah,
diet.
right.
This is a change of lifestyle, and just learn
Mhm.
recipes,
Yeah,
recipes with these different flavors. We don't have to stick to the same. We really don't. You just
right.
need to get out, you know we use the same vegetables over and over and over. There are so many. The variety of vegetables, it's so wide.
Yes.
And we've been stuck with the same ones, for so many years. I know that until I got sick, I started eating beets. Why? And
Mm-hmm.
then people say, well, they taste like dirt. Maybe we're not, you know, and I will say, yeah, they can, but they don't have to. There are really
Right.
good recipes out there, that
Yes.
wow, your beets are, my beets are amazing, like I brought beets, I brought sweet
Yes. Yes.
potatoes here to the mountains. I'm hiking, and oranges, mandarins, apples, bananas, watermelon. This
Mm-hmm.
is what we are munching. This is where we are getting our energy from. And for this hike, it's
Yeah.
all fruits and
Yeah.
vegetables. Yeah,
Fruits and
yeah,
vegetables. Yeah. It takes
yeah.
just as long to open up a package as it does to peel a papaya,
You
you
said the
know?
keyword. They
Yeah.
say we want something practical. I said, look, it doesn't get more practical than that. I'm going to cut half a watermelon, you get half, and I get the other half. We
Yes.
don't even have to, because I bought the mini watermelons. I said, you don't
Uh-huh.
even have to get a dish 30, and
Yes.
that is when it's getting out of the box, and your the usual, the typical. Don't, we
Mhm.
overcomplicate our life. And
Yeah.
it's no, why do we have
Yeah.
to go to the canned food? Why do we have to go to the already plastic container when we
Mhm.
have that beauty? It tastes so good. And if you
Yes.
combine them, imagine, the things that we can make. And not
Yes.
everything has to be cooked either. It can be raw. Somebody was
Right.
like, what do you mean you eat raw asparagus? I said, they taste so good.
Oh gosh. Oh, oh my gosh. That reminds me of a lady that I met when I was living in Texas. She was growing asparagus in her front yard, and I was just walking by, walking my dogs, and we sat there and we had a full-blown conversation, didn't know each other minutes before, and we're just sitting there eating asparagus and just
Yeah,
talking, and it
yeah,
was so delicious, and
yes,
I could feel it in my body right away. You got to think about that. The plant itself is full of water, and it's
yeah,
structured water,
yeah,
you know
yeah.
full of vitamins and minerals that you cannot buy in a store,
No,
so
no.
it really does make a difference. So how do you get your clients to reconnect to their bodies after trauma? Cancer is very traumatizing. because not only are you physically ill, but then you have to deal with the mental side effects of it. You know, the voices in your head can go on and on and on about, wow, I just have a death sentence, you know what I mean? And it's hard to move on. How do you get them reconnected to their bodies during this trauma?
You know, it's important for us to lose fear, not fear. That's one of the things that it's important for us to not fear death, um, and just not fear in general, you know. Take things, I'm not gonna say different or slight or, you know, like light, but for example, when they gave me my news, the first time when I had cancer, it was, I I didn't want to cry. I didn't want to, and it's not because so much the shock. It's just I remember thinking, what is crying gonna do for me? You know, I'm not gonna
Mhm.
get my health back, and it will make me feel more sick. So once we nourish the body, our mind starts reacting differently. Once you recover your deficiencies in your body, your mind is also capable of just focus on the good stuff, you know. And that is what I tell my members always: focus on the good stuff, leave all the negative aside. That comes when we're journaling, when everything, just negative stuff doesn't bring other stuff than negative energy. So
Mhm.
little by little, it does take a little bit of time, you know, but as we learn to listen to our bodies, we start feeling also more confident and knowing what my body needs and wants. And then it's like, oh, I am better than they tell me, because I do tell them, you know, you have become your doctor.
Yes.
You have become your doctor. You are healing yourself. I am not doing that for you. I just shared some information, and you are now learning to heal yourself. And
Yes.
not only that, their entire family,
Hmm.
their entire family along the way, you know,
Right.
because they start sharing, they start seeing the difference in them, and then we have a good chain of good stuff, you know, of positive things. And I think
Right.
that when you start creating that, also believing in themselves. I tell them, believe in you.
Hmm.
Stop. You went, and I don't mean to be rude, but you went and believed in a doctor.
Hmm.
Why don't you believe in yourself?
Right.
Believe what you can do for you. And
Yes.
if they are already in the holistic path, they are already on the good path, you know? They are already like, God has opened their eyes to do the holistic stuff for a way, for a reason, you know. He put this, you know, in your way for a reason. So
Hmm.
once you see it, it's okay, you know, then just acknowledge that this is what we have. That's what nature has for us. Oh, there is nature outside of the house, you know.
Right.
Yes,
Yes.
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 So little by little,
Exactly.
and then they start being exposed more to nature, more grounding.
Hmm.
And like I say, it takes time, but little by little, your mind starts recuperating. I also talk to our members about childhood trauma
Hmm.
and adulthood trauma, right? Because sometimes we're dealing with adulthood stuff when we
Right.
haven't even recovered from childhood trauma,
Right.
you know?
Yes.
So this is where the root cause um, continues. So finding
Yes.
that root cause and really going back to everything, our childhood, you know, when we were
Hmm.
teenagers, everybody lived their own different paths, but, and we're not doing this, you know, trying to judge, but also
Yes.
it's important for us to, once again, acknowledge, you know what, I did live a rough life. I did
Yes.
do this. And that is when
Yes.
you say, forgive yourself, you know,
Right.
you forgive yourself for all the negative stuff, all the bad stuff that you did. Let
Mhm.
go of all of that, and then that's when the difference, when you can really see a difference. So that is my advice to them, just little by
Right.
little get your body to balance, and later your mind and your spirit will get there.
Yes. And that is a really hard pill to swallow, is to forgive yourself, tongue in cheek there. But a lot of that has to do with your conditioning and your caregiver's conditioning, and what they've gone through their lives and trauma. And it's, the world teaches us to compartmentalize things,
Hmm.
and it teaches us
Suppress.
that, yes, yes, suppress. I mean, yeah, you don't want to wear your emotions on your sleeve. I get that. I'm not very comfortable speaking of myself.
Right.
However, when you're a practitioner and you've gone beyond just the lifestyle of fine tuning your ingestion of food, so you start with another area of their life that they're dealing with, and it's mental, it's of the mind, um, which you have to incorporate other food for thought.
Yeah.
What do you do while you're serving others to help you stay balanced and aligned with your own boundaries? Because everyone has a story. No one is identical. We're all snowflakes. It's just,
Hmm. Hmm.
we're
Yeah.
the same but
Our own
different.
print. Yeah. Hmm.
Right. How do you set your boundaries while you're serving others to stay on track and not get absorbed serving them?
I definitely have continued my nutrition hasn't changed. I made sure that I drink a juice or two a day. I do have children, and I try to feed them as good as possible too. And it's part of loving myself. That's how I see it. I love my members, I love my family, but I love myself enough to just want to give me the best of everything. So that's what I do. I make sure that I have an hour for lunch set in my schedule, so that
Yeah.
I can make myself a yummy salad, so that I can continue in the afternoons. It's important, because we do fall for, I call it, the system.
Yeah.
And it did at the beginning, but grounding. I do live in a farm, and I make sure that there are things that I ask people not to do. One of them is giving the animals water. I like to
Hmm.
go give them water because their tanks are around 75 to 100 gallons, and
Wow.
they require for me to be there 12 to 15 minutes standing there. So
Yes.
I want to do that. I want to do the waters because I want to have that contact. And to me, that is how I start my day. I start my day with feeding the animals and giving them water,
Yeah.
and then I go on about my day. And that really, I think that is what makes the difference.
Hmm.
Because if not, it's really easy for me not to be, because we live in we are dealing with a lot of illnesses and a lot of people that unfortunately are going through a really hard time. And for me, a lot of children. So that can really affect you. And yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And I do have members that tell me, how do you do it? It is
Yeah.
4 p.m. and you still have a smile and stuff like that. But it's just, part of us relax. There is also knowing what we can control and what we cannot control. And
Hmm.
if I don't have control over that, I will not stress over it.
Right.
So
Right.
that is my advice to people. That is probably the number one, if you cannot control it. And I know it's hard and it's easier said than done, but practice it. you know,
Hmm.
and looking at the news, it wasn't doing anything for me, you know. So little things like that. And it's not that I don't want to stay, you know, you do want to stay in touch and know what is going on in the world, but we go back to, there are things that we don't need to know, you know, or we don't need to,
Right.
you know, fill our cup with fear since early in the morning. So
Uh-huh.
I read, and always trying to learn new stuff also.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, could you tell our viewers what is the most misunderstood aspect in the holistic practice from your point of view?
Probably not knowing that the power of plants.
Hmm.
People just don't know. So they they go about it, and also wanting to do things halfway.
Yes.
There is no such a thing as that. I mean, you can give it a try, but your body deserves more than that. And you cannot, or you shouldn't do only herbal stuff.
Hmm.
You need to do also nutrient. So it's a balance.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest misconception, that they think people can think that there is a magic pill.
Yeah.
But like I said before, there is no magic pill. There is magic roots and herbs. So
Yes.
it's a complement. It's uh, many things, and it takes us wanting to do it. I cannot go for you and take the juice. I cannot go drink it for you because
Yes.
I'm gonna get healthy, not you. You know.
Right.
So you know, we need to put our part. It doesn't matter how good everything is. You know,
Hmm.
the real thing is do it. You know, just
Right. Just do it.
yeah, just do it. Set your mind, and once you're there, it's like going for a walk or doing certain things, like going to a friend's house. Sometimes we don't feel like doing certain things, and you're like, oh, maybe
Hmm.
I shouldn't go, and then you end up going and have a blast.
Right.
This is no different from that. You decided to go a different route and change your lifestyle, and all of a sudden it's like, where have I been? Wow, thank you for this. And I love my food. And I don't feel that I'm in a diet all the time. I
Hmm.
really don't. This is,
Yes.
I eat good. I think I eat good. I don't feel that. I actually know that no restaurant can give me what I am feeding myself. It
Right.
tastes better, and just I know where it comes from. So, yeah.
Hmm. Yes. I can definitely relate to that. I'm 54 years old, and people ask me a lot, how do you maintain your energy? To me, I still feel like I'm in my 30s,
Yeah. You look.
uh, because I'm on a holistic life path, you know. And so I literally had one lady had stopped me in the grocery store one day, and I was buying a adult beverage, some wine for a party,
Mhm.
and I had to show my ID. Well, she said, "No, this is a fake ID. I can't let you buy this," and I had to convince her that, yeah, I'm really my age. And she said, well, whatever it is, you need to bottle it up. And
Wow.
I said, really, you can just walk outside and get it yourself,
Yep.
So yeah, that was a great moment, because that was confirmation, letting me know that I'm doing
On the right
something
path.
right.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. And the more people realize, the more holistic lifestyle that they lead, um, they're going to get that confirmation that doesn't come in the mail, delivered by Amazon or UPS or whoever, that they're doing something right and to keep up the good work, you know?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree.
So I know time, we got to wrap this up, and I really appreciate you taking time out on your vacation and
Of
hopping
course.
on to this call. I have 3 questions before I let you go.
Okay.
The first question, I'll ask them separately. The first question is, what is one powerful shift people can make today to start feeling more balanced?
Start using. Start using. It's not that complicated. Buy the right user and start using. That's my greatest advice and the best advice I could give anyone.
Okay, second question. Now, from childhood trauma to celebrations, up to the time when you went through your own healing journey. Yes, what
Um,
would you say to your younger self if you could go back in time?
I would definitely tell my younger self to eat better. I really would. I really would. I think that that could have prevented some things, and just having the nutrients, like I said, you have the mentalities there, and other things flow better. I forgive myself for not doing that. I didn't know any better. Um, but I think that if I could tell something to my younger self, it would be eat better and enjoy life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And third question, where can our listeners connect with you?
Awesome. Well, I do have my website, holistichealingfromtheroots.com, and there I provide a little bit of information. I change it once a month, and but that's a good way where they can find me. And if not, holistichealing.net will give them a calendar. That way they can make an appointment and just meet.
Great, great. Okay, well, that pretty much wraps up our show. And I'd like to thank our wonderful guest, Geraldine, for sharing her words of wisdom and her journey with us today. It's a pleasure having you on the show, and I can't wait to have you back for another inspirational conversation. And if you would like to know more about Geraldine's work, check out the description below. And remember, the Holistic Artist channel is all about exploring natural healing, spiritual embodiment, and creating a space for soul-led practitioners to share their stories and words of wisdom. So don't
Thank
forget
you.
to like, subscribe, and we will see you next episode.
Awesome.